Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today's project, we're going to come in after we've done this tiling work and we're going to grout the joints in between the tiles. Now, most importantly, you have to remove your electrical outlet so you can get in there and get the grout behind it the way it's supposed to be. And sometimes the screws may be a little bit shorter and you need to use a longer screw to put it in there, which is the case in this particular version of it. The screw was too short, so we needed to go to the big box store and buy a box of screws. It was 632s and they were 2 inches long. And then if you have to, you can cut them down to whatever length that you need to have to get this job done. But that's what we had done to reattach the outlet to the wall itself. Now, before you get started, you want to make sure you remove all of these spacers that you had in there. In this particular case, the only spacers that we had were the spacers down on the very bottom to hold the tiles above the granite countertop. But in your application, if you have spacers in between the tiles, at this point you want to take all of the spacers out. Make sure that you get all of the glue out too, because if there's any glue that's stuck inside of the between the tiles, it's going to wind up causing a problem for the grout, and it's not going to go in as far as it's supposed to. So make sure you have all of the grout joints clean and all of the spacers out before you get in there and you start to grout the backsplash. All right, so enough talking. Let's go out there, let's mix up the grout, and we'll get this job done. Right now we're going to mix the grout. As you can see, we're using a throwaway because this way here we don't have to clean it out, we can just throw it away. We're going to put some of the grout inside here, and then we're going to add water to it, and we're going to mix it until it's a peanut butter type consistency. Now this is the grout that I'm using right here. This is actually meant for a gap that's up to 1/8 of an inch. So this one here is what they call non-sanded grout, and the reason is they call it non-sanded is that there's no sand added to it. The only thing that's in here is just the cement itself. If you have a larger gap than 1/8 of an inch, then you need to use sanded grout. Okay, so now we're going to take a little bit of this and we're going to throw it into here, and then we're going to add some water to it. It's a little bit dusty, so if you're doing this in your house, be careful, of course. And you only want to mix up enough that you have to work with for, you know, whatever period of time, short period of time. You don't want to mix it up for the entire project, so just mix small batches at a time. All right, so we have it like that. Now we're just going to add a little bit of water to it. As I said, you want to have it like a peanut butter type consistency. And then we just continue to mix it. Now once you have it mixed, you want to let it sit for a couple of minutes just so everything blends together properly. You can always add more water as needed. Now this is a little bit loose, as you can see, it's a little bit too thin. So we're going to add just a little bit more of the grout to it until we get the consistency that we need. As I said, a peanut butter type consistency, and as you can see, it's nice and thick the way we want it. All right, so we're going to let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to go inside and we're going to put the grout on it and finish this project up. Okay, so now we're ready to put the grout on the wall. We have a bucket of clean water. We have a couple of sponges that we're going to use. We put them in the water. Now there's different ways of applying the grout to the wall itself. One, you can use a float such as this and cover a large section. I find this is a little difficult to do on such a small little area here. So instead of using this type of float, what I use is I use a small rubber sanding block. It's, as I said, made of rubber, and it's a lot easier to get into the tight areas and get the grout into the joints the way you want it. Now when you put the grout on there, we're going to put it on, we're going to push it into the joints itself. Don't just skim across it, push it in so that it actually fills in that entire joint right here and all along here. All right, so just push it in with the end of the rubber applicator, and then we'll clean it off with the sponge before it dries. All right, so now we're going to do a small section. We're going to do probably a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet. You don't want it to dry before you have an opportunity to wipe it off. So what I normally do is I take my spatula such as this, and I rub it up against and I'll take it, and I'll take some of the grout like this, and just push it in to the joints just like that. Now I hear this frequently from people, oh, aren't you worried about scratching the tile? Believe me, you're not going to scratch the tile by using an applicator that's made of metal. It's just not going to happen because these tiles are glazed. They're not going to scratch the tile. All right, so we're just going to continue to push it into the joints just like that, so that it seals everything off. Once we have some grout on the wall itself, we take our rubber applicator and we take it, and remember what I told you, you're going to push the grout into the joint because you want to make sure you fill up the entire joint from the wall all the way out to the edge of the tile itself. And we're just going to continue to do that all along the way. And remember, we're only going to work with a small section at a time because we don't want the grout that's on the tile to dry so we can't get it off. All right, so we're going to do like a 2-foot section, and then we'll come back and clean it off with a bucket of water. I'm just rubbing off the excess grout that's on the outside of the tile. It'll be easier to clean up if we take the big mess off before we get in here with a bucket of water and a sponge. Okay, next we're going to come in here and we're going to clean off some of this cement before it dries on too hard right now. So we're going to grab our damp sponge and we'll just rub it like that just to clean it off. Okay, so we cleaned off the tiles really well. We cleaned off all the grout that was on there. We have everything nice and clean. We're going to come in here with a dry cloth and we're going to buff the haze on the tile so that way it'll be nice and clean. And then, of course, we're going to reattach our outlet and put our outlet cover on, and then this wall will be finished. Well, as I said, we're going to come back when it's thoroughly dry and we're going to put the silicone on the bottom here, but we'll finish that off as soon as it dries over. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.